and welcome to Recipe Wars. My name is Judith Jones.
And I'm BC Hoffman.
And today we'll be cooking up a storm because we'll be making French onion soup. All right, well, I'll be doing Julia Child's version.
I'm chopping onions for French onion soup. We're going to brown them in butter and simmer them in stock and then gratinate them like this. This is French onion soup. It's exactly the same kind you get if you were in Paris, France, and you can make it yourself.
Who are you doing?
I'm doing Tyler Florence's recipe.
We're gonna start off with French onion soup. Now it's really simple to put together. Got a big pot, I'm putting it on the stove, turn it on, let it warm up, and we're gonna add a whole stick of butter in the bottom of this. Now it sounds like a lot, but this is gonna feed definitely 6 people with some leftovers, right?
Let's get cooking, shall we?
We shall. And this is something that's really easy, quick, and simple to do at home for my recipe. For your recipe, it's simple, but it's a long process. It's really cool because Julia Child actually brought French cuisine's popularity into the US in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And that's when this dish really made a huge appearance and became really popular. So because of that, we're gonna thank you, Julia Child.
Yeah.
She cooks hers for hours. You've got like a 2.5-hour process with that one. Mine's cut literally in half. I'm only going for an hour. So quicker, easier, longer, but I think it's gonna taste better.
Yeah, it's a long recipe, but if you've got a Sunday afternoon, it's cold outside, it's a perfect thing to do. And if you've got lots of leftover onions, what better use of them than to do this? All right, so first of all, in a large quart pan, we're both gonna put it on the heat, and I'm gonna add my butter and oil into this. Let it melt and get hot.
So I've got half a cup of butter I'm gonna throw in there, unsalted. Can't stress the unsalted because this can be a very salty dish, especially if you're using canned beef broth, ladies and gentlemen. So I'm gonna just melt my butter. Melt my butter. And then I'm gonna throw in my onions. I've got about 4 onions sliced right here. I've got 2 sprigs of thyme, 2 bay leaves. I've got 3 cloves of garlic, and I'm gonna throw all that stuff right into my pot.
So me too, I'm gonna add in my lovely sliced onions right here. There was a lot of crying going on in the process of slicing these. There we go, into the pan it goes. And what we're gonna do is cook it low and slow. So on a lowish heat, we're gonna cook that for about 15 minutes covered until they get nice and soft.
Now what's really important about this is when you are making this dish at home, what makes it so delicious is the fact that you're caramelizing these onions. You're releasing all the sugars from the onions, and you are going to have just an amazingly wonderful, flavored and fragrant soup. You definitely, I can't stress enough, you don't want to burn these, you just want to caramelize them.
All right, so I'm gonna cover that and let it go for about 15 minutes.
So a really good technique when you're cutting onions to avoid crying, I would totally use it. Put a piece of bread in your mouth, put it underneath your tongue, and just hold it in your mouth. It definitely makes for a way of avoiding tears pouring down your eyes.
Really, a piece of bread?
A piece of bread.
I didn't know that one.
Yeah, I used to do it
I
all the time.
wear sunglasses usually. Some nice big sunglasses.
See, I wear my
I'm in the
sunglasses
kitchen
at
there.
night. So what I really like about this dish is on top of your soup, you've got this awesome crostini, and then you've got the cheese just melted right on top. I like a good Gruyere cheese right on top. And you can grill it, you can roast it, you can broil it, you can use the torch, use your broiler at home, grill it by all means, use a salamander in kitchen terminology, which is the same thing as broiling pretty much, just a fancier way.
Yeah, and I like Julia Child's very peasant version. She does a version in the video where she uses a poached egg. So she basically poaches an egg, puts it in the bowl, scoops up the onion soup on top of that, and then of course puts on that crostini, that baguette, which is delicious. It's the ultimate French peasant food.
Yeah, and the only difference between ours really, besides time, is the fact that you are using white wine and cognac.
Yeah.
and I'm using red wine. But we're both using beef stock, we're both using caramelized onions, we're both using crostinis and cheese, and we've got our flour as a thickening agent.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Looking good.
Okay, so it's been about 25 minutes now that we've gotten our onions nicely caramelized. If you guys want to just take a quick look in that pan right there, that's what you're going for. You want a nice dark brown. That's gonna have all the sugars from the onion coming out. And again, you want it slow, low, and cook it till it's brown. And you do not want to burn these bad boys. You burn them, you gotta start from scratch because that's the base of your flavor right there. Don't use sweet onions because you're already gonna sweeten them up when you caramelize them. I am ready right now to throw in my cup of red wine. And all we're gonna do is basically deglaze the pan. As soon as the red wine comes to a boil, we're going to lower it to a simmer, dry out those onions, and we're gonna take about 10 to 15 minutes to do that right now.
All right, and I had been cooking my onions on a low simmer for 15 minutes. I took the cover off, I added my salt and my sugar, and then I've been cooking these onions for about 30 to 40 minutes until they get this lovely golden brown color, just a deep golden brown. Make sure they don't get black, as they're nearly starting to do. And so for the last 3 minutes, I'm gonna add in my flour to thicken that up. Give that a stir for 3 minutes, and then it's time to add in our broth and our lovely wine.
Now, you're probably wondering, why is she using white wine? Why is he using red wine? It doesn't matter. The drier the wine, the better. Make sure it's a wine that's actually palatable and that you're gonna drink outside of just putting in your dish.
Absolutely.
It makes cooking it that much more fun.
You can also use vermouth if you don't have white wine.
Or Madeira, or brandy.
Oh, that's right.
Or cognac.
That's right.
So I've got a boil. I'm gonna lower my temperature and just let it simmer for about 10 minutes, dry out those onions.
All right, so the flour's been in there for about 3 minutes. So now I'm gonna add in my beef stock.
And you can totally use veal stock, you can use beef. Really, as long as it's a brown stock, it doesn't matter.
And the white wine or vermouth or whatever you choose to use. And then we're gonna turn that down to a simmer, and we're gonna simmer that for about 40 minutes.
Okay, so my onions have gotten almost completely dried out from the red wine. They've got a nice, beautiful color to them. I'm gonna pull out my thyme sprigs right now, discard those bad boys. I don't need them. And I'm gonna pull out my bay leaves. Again, I don't need them. They already did their job. While that's going on, I'm about to add in my flour. We're gonna throw that in and basically cook off the raw flour taste. Mix it in, it's gonna thicken, it's gonna be nice. And that right there is going to take about 10 minutes to cook off the raw flour taste. And while that's going on, I've got a low heat going in there, and we're gonna start on our croutons. Now what Tyler Florence does, and I believe you do the same thing in yours, we are going to take our crostinis and we're going to nicely put them, let me just lower this flame.
Yeah, we've got some, of our lovely French baguette bread. So just layer them on a single layer on a baking dish. And I preheated my oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit, and we're gonna put them in there for 30 minutes. Now, halfway through, what you can do is baste both of your sides of your bread with a little olive oil. And once they've come out of the oven after 30 minutes, you can rub a little bit of garlic, not too much, on your bread, and it's gonna give it that lovely extra flavor. So, in those go into the oven at 325 for 30 minutes.
And I'm actually just gonna take mine. And you can totally put a little olive oil on top if you want to. I'm just gonna put the cheese right on it.
So you wanna get them nice and dry, right?
Yes. We've got a nice toasty dryness to them. And we're just gonna float this right on top of the soup as soon as we ladle it into the bowl. Now again, a very important thing, I can't stress enough, patience when making this dish. I know you're looking and you're like, wow, it takes 10 minutes to do that, 15 minutes to do that, 25 minutes to do that. Yes, there's few steps, but each step takes a lot of time.
So I'm gonna pop these in the oven now.
So you can smell the raw flour coming off right now. I'd say about another minute, and then I'm ready to put my beef stock in here, and I'm gonna let that cook for about 10 to 15 minutes. And then my soup will be ready to ladle out and throw in the oven to melt that cheese right on top of my crostini.
And I'm letting my onion soup simmer here for about 40 minutes, partially uncovered.
I'm ready to go in with my broth right now. Oh, yeah.
And occasionally you can do a little skimming within those 40 minutes.
Dépoulage.
There we go.
So I have 2 quarts of beef broth I just threw in there. I'm just gonna stir that around and then I'm gonna let that cook for 15 minutes and I will be ready to go. Okay, so we just cleaned up the kitchen. We're ready to taste our French onion soup. So the question is, which one should we dig into? I'm gonna say Tyler Florence because I really already have a premonition that Julia Child won this one, so.
Well, we haven't tasted them yet, but I think so too.
Yeah.
But let's try,
Let's
try.
do it.
Let's
Yours
dig
cooked
into yours
for a lot
then.
longer than mine, so.
All right. Ooh, look at that.
It's creamy.
All right.
Alrighty, let's do it.
There's a lot of
good.
flavor in that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Oh, I'm super impressed. I really like that.
Yeah. This is one of my favorite soups, right? This is definitely my favorite soup. Not this one in particular, but every time I'm in a restaurant, I see French onion soup, I'm like, I gotta order it. Even if it isn't gonna be good, I still order it.
I like that a lot, BC.
Alrighty, I'm going for Julia.
Okay, let's do it. Oh,
Oh,
get some of that cheese.
Look, I mean, just look at that. The color on this one, like
Yeah.
that one.
That's a little liquidy too.
Yeah.
This one has a thickness to it.
This one you can tell cooked for an hour and a half longer than
Right.
mine. Like that.
Wow, look at that. And just to mention, I did add the cognac in there after we cooked it.
It
just
makes a
as
big
little
difference.
Last touch. Oh my gosh, I'm getting all this cheese.
Again, the cognac can be. You can add anything, brandy, Madeira wine.
I do like that.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, great flavor, just enough seasoning, rich, just great.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. That is pretty good though.
If you want
I'll be
something
honest.
quick and easy, by all means, this is good. This is very good. This is better than you get in most restaurants. I will say that without hesitation or doubt. And it's something, it's easy to make at home. You could totally do this for the holidays, especially since it's cold outside right now. Warm yourself up with a good, warm French onion soup, Tyler Florence's style. But if you want a winning recipe here on Recipe Wars, by all means, take a little bit more time, have patience, and do Julia Child and her recipe for French onion soup.
I hate to say it, but I have to agree with BC. I do, in fact, like my recipe, Julia Child's recipe for French onion soup, a little bit better than yours.
Yeah.
They both taste pretty good, though, I have to say.
Yes. So if you're a procrastinator, by all means, Tyler Florence, if you have the time, the patience, and the desire for just an amazing, rich, flavorful, hearty, warm French onion soup, Julia Child. Without a doubt. My name is BC Hoffman.
And I'm Judith Jones.
This has been Recipe Wars. Please subscribe to our channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. You keep watching, and we'll keep cooking.
I'm eating.
And eating.
Yum.